Catus Maximus here. Another trip to the Wayback Machine with this Walden 1160 half-inch drive pairhead ratchet. Walden Tools are a tool company of yesteryear who made pretty decent tools. They were really good quality tools, kind of like O'Reilly's Power Torque, or maybe what Icon is, the Harbor Freight. Pretty nice tools, but you wouldn't consider them to be snap-on. Anyway, this is a Batwing Pawl style half-inch drive ratchet. It's definitely seen some use, but overall not too bad. The only thing I would say that's bad is just the thickness of this head is amazing. It's one of the tallest heads I've ever seen in a pairhead ratchet. Just to give you an idea, here's a gear wrench 84 tooth. Man, is this Walden... It's like 30% thicker or something. So definitely plenty of Pawl surface area. The only other thing that isn't so great is there's definitely some anvil play in this ratchet. Not super great. Pulls in and out some. I'm going to see if I can't find a washer to shim that up. Besides those two aspects being a little thick and a bit of anvil play, what is not weak is the detent. I don't know if it didn't get drilled quite deep enough, but this is near snap-on level. If your hands were greasy with this ratchet, you would be using a screwdriver to remove the socket. There's no doubt about that, because my hands are dry and I still have to do it like that. So absolutely no way a socket's ever falling off of this ratchet. We know it's a Batwing Pawl because when we ratchet, we can see that the lever itself moves along, so it's all one fixed gear, and we know that. I call that the Williams style. I don't know if Williams actually invented it, but it's what I've been referring it to. We do see the screws go through the forged body of the ratchet and thread into the bottom plate. Obviously, you can't get a repair kit for this anymore, but when they were available, you would get all new parts, and that would include new screws and bottom plates. So if you ever strip out the screws or strip out the bottom plate, it doesn't ruin the forging of the ratchet. This is something they did do a lot in the old days, which is just a stamped piece of steel that they did swaged over on a pin that's part of the pawl. And this one appears to have held up mainly because it sits flush with the body of the ratchet, so it's not getting too beat up when you throw it down. Let's go and take a look inside this little guy. Actually, I guess it's a bigger guy. Really deep Phillips head screws. They're kind of surprising. And they're actually pretty large diameter. This one definitely had grease in it, which has gotten hard, and a bit of grit from doing work, so it's not running the smoothest. Yep, that is one super coarse gear, that's for sure. So definitely we'll have to do a little bit of cleaning here. We can see our Batwing Pawl. It appears to just be a single tooth unit, and indeed it is. That's a shame. Certainly had enough space. They could have given it two teeth, but considering how wide the engagement area is, look at how thick that gear is. Oh, they did drill out the center of it some. That's interesting. Super thick gear, pretty deeply cut teeth. So overall, it should be reliable. There's a little detent, that's what keeps this pawl in shape, and then the hole in the bottom of this post just helps keep it nice and aligned. Although technically you really don't need this bottom pin, and on modern Batwing Pawl style ratchets they just don't do that, because once you have the anvil in there, it keeps everything aligned anyway, but it's still a nice touch. Look what I've discovered. Somebody uses a cheater bar or something on. I was looking at all the teeth. This is cleaning up pretty nice. I was like, what the heck is going on with that one? Look how it's all slanted over. So, and it's on this side, so that was when somebody was trying to break a bolt. Probably put a cheater bar on it, and since it's only a single tooth, it just put all the load on that one tooth. It looked like it crushed it, but it didn't look like it slipped to the next tooth. And that probably will still work relatively fine, to tell you the truth. It may end up slipping on that one, though. And this one next to it's now just a little bit thinner. It took some force to do that. Managed to find a perfect washer. I haven't done it lately, but I should start picking up on it again. I would take apart cordless drills and other broken power tools just to collect these shim washers that are inside the gearboxes, because so many times they have sizing that's just perfect. Like this washer is like it was made to shim this ratchet. It fits around that bore perfectly, but doesn't extend too far into the tooth. I got another super thin one to put into the back there. If that's too tight, I'll just pull one of them out and have a little bit of play. I did want to point out that this tooth here, which is the one that was over torqued and bent over from, actually I don't think slipped. I think it actually just broke the fastener, because you can see how the nature of these Batwing Pawl just wants to crush it over, essentially crush it flat. It would have been nice if they would have put 2 teeth on there. That would have prevented that from happening, but I probably won't notice that tooth is even damaged. And there we are, all done with a lot of cuts in the video. So I should learn how to just record it and then do the fast forwarding thing better. Got it all together. It's a great thing about collecting up those shim washers. Look at this anvil. You saw what it was at the beginning of the video, and those 2 washers ended up being within a few thousandths of an inch of just the right size. They're almost too thick, but not quite. So now what was a loose anvil is super tight. This would be now one of the tightest anvils of all my Pear heads. Actually, I have some OEMs and other stuff that are really tight, but this is always a joy to take one of these ratchets and do something like that. And this is just really pretty impressed by how that turned out. Super tight, but doesn't bind up when the screws are tight. And it just runs so much smoother now. And due to the nature of that paw, I don't think I'll notice that damaged tooth at all. And this isn't the kind of ratchet that you would normally do something like put a breaker bar on or a cheater bar, but it certainly at least took it. Even with one single tooth, it just had a nice Batwing Pawl design, which is pretty strong, and some pretty wide surface area. So now you got a good old Walden ratchet. So these things aren't the best, once again, as you saw inside, but they're also not the worst. Really pretty solid detent on that reverse lever. That's actually pretty nice. I like that quite a bit. Not a lot of ratchets that you need a pry bar to get the socket off of. But nor are there a lot of ratchets that have a click like this when you reverse them. That is really solid. No way you're accidentally bumping that, even if you're holding the ratchet, you know, one hand on top of the ratchet or anything like that. This is definitely a reverse lever or solid reverse lever and reversing mechanism that isn't going to let you down. Nor is the detent on the anvil ever going to let a socket off it. If you leave this out in the rain for a night and that detent rusts, the socket will be permanently attached to the ratchet. And I probably won't be using it all that much just for that reason. Otherwise, I think it's kind of cool. Walden tools just weren't the most popular, and so you don't see them very often, and especially ones like their big half-inch drive ratchets. And part of my channel, adding to the tool database, and particularly with vintage tools, so people can look them up and just have a better idea when they run across particular brands, such as this Walden 1160. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.